And c6 in order to play d5 because we have a Catalan. So for me, the Dutch Stonewall is the best response to the Catalan. And this variation, I think you need to play bishop to d6 here. They want... I think they want to exchange the dark square bishop by playing bishop to f4 sometimes. Here we have queen b3. Ideally, whenever I see queen b3, I move the king to h8 because of the threats on the light square diagonal. Okay, do I let him exchange? I think with the queen on b3, I can actually let him exchange here. Because the queen is not directly attacking the king's side, so they normally want to place the knight on f4 once the bishop is exchanged. So maybe for that reason he doesn't exchange yet. And I think the reason is that bishop takes, queen takes, knight to f4. I simply have g5 with a very strong kingside attack, which is normally the idea behind the Stonewall setup in most cases. Okay, we're just exchanging in the center. And I actually like my position here. The queen is not doing anything on b3. The pawn on e2 is weak. So the only drawback is I need to develop the knight on b8. So we just take here. Let's see what he's going to play. Hey, do I play g5 here? Do I play g5? Let's develop the knight. We can always play g5 if need be, but well, I should normally avoid making too many pawn moves unless they're fully developed, as that creates weaknesses which then cannot be defended by the undeveloped pieces, as a general principle. Can he play maybe queen to a4? Yeah. I think I need to return the knight to b8 here. Yeah, and just maintain a strong bishop on a6. Because the bishop, let's face it, doesn't have any other role at the moment. It wouldn't be good on b7 or c8. Oh yeah, he wants to play knight to e5. Maybe I should capture this bishop, but let's see. The bishop is kind of doing something, attacking the e2 pawn, so let's not exchange it yet. Is knight to e5 a strong move now because I cannot play knight to d7 to challenge that knight? That's strange. I think he should have just played knight to e5. Yeah, I think it's time to exchange this knight because it can land on e5 and then it leads to me having to find a way to get rid of that knight, and once the pawn has moved from e2, the bishop doesn't do much on a6, so it can be exchanged for the knight. It is the so-called bad Stonewall bishop anyway, so not much to think about there. What to do? Taking the knight lets him double the rooks on the c file. So therefore, let's not just do it yet. Let's keep some attacking potential on the king's side. Normally, That is the main trump of the Stonewall Dutch. Very quick and out of nowhere kingside attacks, which cannot really happen unless you have the attacking potential for it. Moving the king towards the center, defending that backward pawn. Probably not a bad idea. And maybe he can try and escape with the king if the kingside attack materializes. This knight is very strong supportive piece on d7, so that's why I can afford to play c5, I think. And now he can take on e5, but that brings the queen away from the king's side still. And while it is on that square, yeah, of course, that's probably a good decision not to take that pawn. Because I probably had h4 in that case, opening him up very, very quickly, most likely. Because once the h file is open, I have king to g7 and rook to h8, and it's getting very unpleasant. So that's probably a good decision by my opponent. He's threatening to take on g6, but that is a superficial threat. I just move the knight and that pawn is defended. I can move with an attack on the queen on h7. That knight is controlling a lot of squares in the center, so let's not just move it yet. Because he might be able to play e4 somehow if that knight is moved. And now I am seeing a weakness in this position, and that is the b2 square. I might actually double the rooks on the b file and try and attack that target. Let's see. The problem is I cannot move away from the defense of the c pawn just yet. So, isn't just c4 a very good move now? It takes a lot of squares away from him. Yeah, he's seeking a queen exchange because that's actually a very good... It's a good rule to follow. Whenever you get slightly worse in a blitz game and with little time remaining, it's probably a good idea to exchange queens just to be on the safe side. Because if you get into bigger trouble, it is very hard to find your way out with little time. So that's probably, once again, a very good decision by my opponent. Yeah, I think I should just double on the b file. Let's defend d5 first. He overprotects b2, that's understandable. Yeah, this is going to be one of those down to the wire games where things are decided in the last few seconds, most likely. Even though my position is preferable here, I don't think there's a direct way to break his defense. Yeah, I just have to take, unfortunately, and split my pawns, but still the b2 square will be an eternal weakness. And here I just need to play quickly. There's not much time to think. I just need to keep pressing against the king, because that will make him use more time than anything else. So I just need to gang up on the king here, really. Just bring pieces closer to the king with superficial threats and play quickly. Yeah, now g3 is under attack. He's thinking how to defend g3. Yeah. Very good. I think I was kind of better for the bigger part of the game. But let's analyze and see if that is actually true. Okay, let's analyze this. So I think the opening went kind of okay for me, but let's see what the computer thinks. Yeah, it doesn't like b6 here. queen to e7. Isn't that just a waste of tempo? I mean, queen e7, bishop takes d6. a5 is a better move. Yeah, this is actually okay for me. But here, okay, so the computer thinks that in the long term, the C file might be a problem. Okay, takes. And here, yeah, I think computer sees some long-term weakness on the C file. And queen c2 attacking the f5 pawn. Knight e4, what's the issue? Yeah, but again, nothing concrete, nothing to worry about in a blitz game. Probably b6 is to be avoided, but again, it's not exactly clear why. The concrete reasons are not evident at this stage of the game. Anyway, okay, bishop a6, cd5. Yeah, I didn't think that the exchange would be good, and that's why I didn't mind it during the game. Yeah, g5 was correct. As I thought during the game, g5 was perfectly okay here. But I thought somehow I can always play it, but now they can actually stop it with h4. Look at this. Of course my opponent didn't see this because, I don't know, h4 seems like a very weakening move. So I thought, okay, let's keep g5 in reserve, but it needed to be played right away because the C file is not really an issue at this stage, so I don't know. Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have just played g5 as I thought. Like I thought it's not going away anywhere, but in the meantime you're creating weaknesses here. However, white has failed to exploit them. Yeah, of course. I thought that you have to play knight to e5 here. That's just a must, yeah. Like whatever little problems during the opening stage you can create for your opponent, you must. And that's what I immediately realized I have to avoid here. So good exchange and the position is equal. Yeah, that's correct. Not exchanging the knight is totally correct. And now this is probably not good from a practical point of view. You're just gonna spend the rest of the game defending the C file. Absolutely no point in going into this. So going back to f6 was correct. And now the position is once again perfectly equal. Okay, the computer doesn't like this too much, but rook from d to c3, and now the C file becomes a problem, does it? What if I play this? h4. Very strange and very unlikely to be played by a human opponent. But again, what else are you playing for as white here if not the C file, yeah? So that's correct, c5. c5 is in fact the best move in this position, which I played in the game. And now can white take? I thought that white cannot be taking here. That's absolutely correct. And is this a good move? Yeah, this is actually equal, but there's something better. Rook to a8. And then queen b5, rook a to b8. This is getting very, very unpleasant for white. So that was actually a very good decision not to take that pawn by my opponent, because you're thinking, okay, I'll just take, I'll survive somehow and I have a passed pawn. But it's not so easy because of the central tension, yeah? And once the central tension is released, his king will be weaker than mine, for sure. So not taking was good. But here, I should attack the b file immediately. Yeah, I should just attack immediately, because why am I over defending this pawn? Maybe I'm afraid of this, but then I can play g6. So yeah, rook to b8 was much better here. Anyway, advantage for me, significant advantage for me. And now this is winning. How is this winning? Ah, his queen is trapped. I didn't see that. Such an unusual queen trap. But it should have been fairly obvious. But wait a minute, why is this a queen trap? What about this? d4. It's not exactly a queen trap. It's more like you're pushing his queen away to a very inactive square. Yeah, and this is getting very strong. Takes. c4. He goes back. And then that's the actual queen trap. That's absolutely insane. But it makes perfect sense. Even if you don't see this far, you should see that you're totally incapacitating white's queen here, and you can proceed to create some central tension. That was very good. I didn't see that during the game though. Anyway, back to the game. c4 is also very good, and this is also a winning advantage for me. And here I should not be exchanging queens exactly for the reason I stated in the game. That I'm the one that is pressing here. By exchanging queens, I am just putting my attack to a halt basically. So I shouldn't have done that, even though the computer gives this as close to winning advantage. Yeah, the b file is very weak, I recognize this correctly. But here, what about... Where did I go wrong? g5. g5, doesn't that just put the knight to a better square on d4? Ah, but then you can stop d4 with this move. And you can just calmly pile up against the b2 pawn. Yeah, that is the idea. Very subtle positional things going on in this game, which you can hardly see with very little time on the clock, which you normally have in a blitz game, especially at this stage of the game. Anyway, I managed to maintain equality, and now I'm better again. Yeah, takes, knight g4, intermediate move. Ah, because you have this fork on e3. If he goes here, you still have a fork on e3 against the rook and the bishop. Yeah, that was very nice. I should have seen this, but again, I think we were down to very little time here anyway. So I thought I have to take, because if I don't take, what do I do? He takes, and then I'm just busted basically. So should have seen this. Still a small plus for me after this move. And even after this, rook to f5 is actually the winning move. I didn't see this, because here you can just push the pawn and win this way. The rest was a bit of a time scramble, but I think I was better still, because I think I was down a pawn at some point, but then he simply cannot afford to move a rook from this file, because this pawn is going to fall, and once it does, then maybe this will as well, and I have a pass pawn on the a file. So overall, I think this was a very good game. I missed some of the positional subtleties, but that's understandable given the lack of time. I think I was pressing for the win from the start, so I'm quite happy with this game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.